Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Chalkboard Chats. My name is Henry, and if you're watching this for the first time, hi. I am trying to get this camera down. There we go. That's better. Ukulele. Ukulele is there. On this channel, we discuss all things teaching and everything in support of teachers. And instead of recording this on my computer and then uploading it, I thought, why not just upload it on YouTube? Let's go live. So I wanted to record. I've been working on a concept for teachers for a while, and a while that means like a couple of weeks now, almost months, and I was struggling to figure it out how to put this in words, but also I wasn't sure how this actually would work in real life. And then this week it hit me. I was like, there it is. I know it. I can see it. And it has to do with quote unquote difficult students. And I do the air quotes because what I call a difficult student, of course, is not a difficult student for everybody else. These are just my thoughts about it. And I am sometimes very, very challenged by these students. So at some point, I was so done with these challenges. I was so frustrated that I wanted to figure out a way to make it easier for myself. And now I have. So I wanted to share this with you. If you're not a teacher, you're still welcome. But I am a part time English teacher. And if you can hear, my English is not my first language, it's my third. And I teach it as a second language to non native English speakers. So I teach, the kids are like between 4 and 13. That's the age range. And I have a couple of classes that are my absolute favorite, and then there are a couple of classes that I'm like, this is so hard. And I there's this one class with this one kid. It's always this one kid who has been really challenging to teach, and to the point where during the week I was not looking forward to the class. I was dreading the class. I just was trying to find ways to swap classes with other teachers, just anything to get me away from that class. But over the last few months, I've been thinking about how to work around and how to work through these obstacles with this student. And when I say obstacles, they are mostly anger tantrums. And this student does not really like to obey the rules at all. So everybody is, staying in their chairs. And this kid just he just doesn't want to sit still. And he constantly needs attention and he constantly asks for things as well. And it's like a slippery slope that if it's going into the wrong direction, if I don't give him enough attention, he goes off on this tantrum. And if I give him too much attention, then the rest of the class is just, bystanders. So I've been trying to navigate this. And the thing was also that because this student is he's a twin, and his twin brother is also in this class, and 2.5 years ago they both had some issues, but his twin has kind of grown out of it. And I get the impression that it's challenging for him to see that his twin is now a lot better at like regulating his emotions. And I see that there's like a competitiveness that doesn't always sit well with them. um so I've been reporting some of his behavior issues. But I did that for, I think, like a month, 2 months straight. But then I stopped because management changed, and changed twice. And I, at some point, was like, you know what? Nothing is going to change. What is the point of me constantly reporting this if for the last 6 months this has been going on and there is no change? At some point, there has to be a moment where I say, all right, now that's enough. And I don't know what the company necessarily wants. I don't think that they really would tell the parents that this kid is not welcome anymore. I don't think so. But with the new management, he is like, no, 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 just, make a report, make sure that you write down the date and the time so that on the camera we can check and we have some footage. And over time, if it is too bad, at some point there's a moment where we say, and that is it, and that's enough. So I have been debating the last couple of weeks how to approach this because it feels like this student is one class really bad, and then one class he's absent, and then the next class he's fine, and then he's really bad, then he's absent, and then he comes back and he's fine again. So it's been very irregular, and I find it very difficult to say this is the problem with this student because the problem shows up in different ways every class. And I was just thinking about this. I was like, there has to be a better way to navigate this. And finally, this week, it hit me. So I'm a trained life coach, and I work with teachers. And when I say it hit me, I've come up with a system that works for me, that makes teaching for me super, super easy. And I help my clients with their students, with their issues. And in coaching, I've learned this concept of basically like the power of now, that you any moment can kind of redefine yourself. You can reinvent yourself every moment of every day. Every morning gets to be a brand new day. And you don't have to hold on to what happened yesterday. You don't have to be the same person. And you can decide any moment at any time that life has been good this way, but it's going better if you're taking, a different course, a different direction. And I've been applying that to my life, but now I've realized you can apply it to students, where every lesson, every day, every moment, every interaction is basically this little human coming to me as a clean slate. And I've really applied this clean slate idea this week. And oh my God, the result was amazing. So I wanted to believe in this concept. I believe in this concept for me. So I've, did all the things. I've drastically changed my life. Almost every year I do something really drastic. The last time I did the very drastic thing was I cut my hair very short. And it's a wonderful feeling that you can let go of all the pasts. I can let go of everything that happened 10 minutes ago. I can let go of everything that happened years ago. I get to choose how I define myself and how I show up now. And that gets to change any moment. So tomorrow I can reinvent myself and to say, now, today, no, I am going to do this. And it's been working really well. It's wonderful for the brain. But to apply it to students, because it's the same principle. As a teacher, I have found myself struggling with the baggage that I sometimes see. Oh, I see that my microphone isn't that clear. I hope it's good. That I sometimes feel that I look at the baggage of this student and I kind of anticipate their reactions, their ideas, also their actions. They're misbehaving and stuff. And I found that it kind of clouds my judgment. I don't see the person for who they are. I see them for the issues that we've had in the past, and especially the quote unquote naughty students, who I've noticed we fall into this pattern of the same behavior, and they show a whiff of this little behavior, and immediately I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go again. And I was like, that is not how it works. I don't want this to continue. I don't want to keep it this way. So I was like, that's it, we're done. And this week I realized how to put it in words. So every time I interact with a student, every day, every lesson, every, let's say, new moment, I try to kind of clear up all my the notions from the past, the expectations, the the memories from what happened last time we were in a similar situation. I try to let all of that go and give the little human who is now in front of me a chance to show up as they are right now, instead of looking at them and thinking, oh, here we go again, because that was a trap and I fell for it. And to give them this moment of new interaction, a new chance, don't screw this one up. And it worked. It worked wonders. This week, it worked for the first time. So on Wednesday, the twins show up and it was okay, but it got very bad at the end where all of a sudden one of the boys walks over to the other boy and literally stabs him with a pencil. And I'm like, whoa, 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 what happened? Why? And usually, from like other experiences with these boys, it doesn't end there, and they just, get very angry with each other and then start shouting, and then, books and chairs and everything is flying through the air. But this time, they were really, really kind of shocked at what happened. So instead of me interfering and going there, I was just kind of standing on the side and kind of watching how another adult, a teaching assistant who was already there, I was like, you don't need me necessarily. You can deal with this. I'm here if you need me, but there are enough adults as it is. And the boys were both very shocked that this happened and both very angry. So they started crying, but like still crying, like quiet and scared and worried of the adult reaction. And turned out that one of the boys, no, there's like the bigger boy and the smaller boy. The bigger boy kicked the smaller boy first, and then the smaller boy stabbed him with a pencil. Now, when I say stabbed him with a pencil, it was more like a poke, but from my angle, it was like a bam. So I looked and was like, oh, please, no scissors, no scissors, no scissors, pencil. I was like, still painful though. So that happened. And then I spoke with management. I said, look, this is what is happening. And it was a accumulation of a couple of things. There are issues with this boy in this class. And we're not getting anywhere. Nothing is changing. Because at some point I changed, the classroom management system. I changed my approach to a different things. And at some point he was like, I don't care about stickers. I was like, well, that's it. So that was on Wednesday when this happened. And then on Thursday and Friday, I was like, you know what? This boy does not need to, I don't need to have this whole class ruined because of this one person. And I've tried this approach a couple of times, but, it doesn't always work. So I was like, you know what? Everybody gets a clean slate. Every single interaction, you get a clean slate. And I did. I didn't mention anything that happened on Wednesday. When he came in, I immediately acknowledged all the things that he was doing well. It was like positive reinforcement over and over. He took the bait. It was great. And then as soon as he started to, kind of look out and you have this like mischief in his eyes, it was like, I am up to no good. Let me see what I can screw up now. And as soon as he did, I just kind of like reached out to him and said, listen, here are the rules. You remember this. Can you do this? And he was like, all right. He would sit back down. And I was like, oh, this is happening. It's happening. And I kept on doing this. Every interaction was like a new interaction where I looked at him and I said, I just kind of like forgot all the things. I was like, you're not following the rules. Remember, we wrote this on the board. You agreed. Here's a star. Well done. And it worked. And it was hard work. Let me tell you that. It was really hard work. But at the end of the class, I walked up to the teaching assistant and I said, how is this possible? How is this boy one day stabbing his twin? And the other day, he is like throwing all the crayons all over the floor. He has kicked many chairs over for tiny little things. For the moment that, for example, that he doesn't get another turn. He sees all these students get a turn, but it was too long for him, that he has to wait. And he was like, I want again, I want again, I want again. And this lesson, I kept telling him that we first needed to go through all of the students who hadn't had a turn, which was for me a lot of work, but the kid understood it. And I was like, there we go. Then at some point, he doesn't like to do. We have at the end of class we have diary, where we write down the books that we covered, the pages that we covered, the vocabulary that we've learned, the homework, what the date is, and special thing that happened. And he, for the last 5 lessons, had just wouldn't do anything. I could do all the classroom management. I could take all the points away. I could promise him all the candies. No, wasn't there. And then on Friday he did. And as soon as he had a pencil, I said, good. Do you now have paper? No, he was getting a paper. I said, good. Now, are you going to write? He was like, yeah. Okay, this is great. As soon as he wrote down a couple of words, I went over to him and said, good, you're good. This is great work. Well done. And I kept on doing that. And by the end, he wrote everything down. Then you get a stamp. So as soon as he was ready to get a stamp, I acknowledged it. I said, hey, well done, that you get a stamp. Now, most of the students just do this without any issue, but I was clean slating him. I was like, oh, every interaction, you get a clean slate. So if you show up with a little bit of work done, which is like the minimum that I expect from all the other students, but from him, yes, amazing. You wrote a couple of words. Good job. And he wrote all the things. He did everything up to the point where it was the end of class. And I walked up to the teaching assistant and I was like, how is this possible? How do we get this one boy who doesn't want to do anything, stabs his twin one day, and then the next day we get this boy who is really, really trying his hardest. He does his best and he was constantly communicating with me. And it was amazing. And I was like, this clean slate principle works. So here is what it is. It is literally the idea that every time I get to interact with a student, it is a brand new person in front of me where I'm like, oh, hi. Hi, it's so wonderful to see you. How are you? Who are you? Tell me all the things. I go in with that attitude. Now, mind you, it is exhausting. So I don't recommend this to do with every class, every student, all the time. But it worked really, really well with the most difficult students. And it must be some kind of energy thing, but it was so easy for me to keep going with the lesson and to keep this student not running off and creating this chaos on the side for me to like navigate and handle. I could just take him along with every activity, and I guided him through everything, every step. And it was hard work, but it was so incredibly good. And I really hope that this trends that we've now started in class, that if that continues, then the intensity of his behavior goes down a notch. I don't necessarily think he's going to change, and I don't expect that of him. But I just hope that the intensity of the tantrums just get a little bit dialed down, that we don't get any like chairs kicked over, that if he walks away and being angry, that is a win. If he like stops playing an activity, that is a win, instead of shredding up all the papers in a fit. So this principle, it's hard work on the teacher side, but it's very rewarding once it is in place, and once it felt like the student picked up on the energy that every interaction that they started with me was always met with. It felt like I was meeting this old man. You know how we're like in these European small villages where you have this like this church and a square and this tiny little bench where you meet these elderly people on the side. They're going for a walk, and then you have these like random wonderful conversations. And that's how I just looked at these students this week, and I was like, you're such a wonderful little human. Hello, what do you want? How can I help you? Do you want a pencil? Sure, choose a nice one. And it was great. It was really good. So give everybody a clean slate. As a beginning, I tried to do it just for a couple of interactions because it is so exhausting. But as I got better at it yesterday, I did it again today, and I had some really good success with my teenagers. And the teenagers, they're usually quite challenging to work with. Um, we finally got into a very wonderful conversation where at some point they said, "Yes, but teacher, I rather learn English in a different way, but my parents think I need to learn it from school." I said, "Well, look, you can tell your parents that you don't have to study. You don't have to go to school. Also, if your parents bring you, you don't have to go here. You don't have to be here. But when you're in the class, you follow these rules because if not, then I'm going to just put you outside of the classroom and then I can continue with the class." And they were all a bit like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." So again, with the most challenging student, I I changed his chair. Instead of letting him sit with his usual friend, I put him right next to me, and I made sure that every time we talked, it was a very gentle conversation. Where at some point he was like, "Ah, teacher," and I was like, "Yes, I'm listening. How can I help? What is it?" And he was like, "I don't know this." I was like, "Maybe you do." And it was amazing. Yeah, I can't tell you anything else. It was so good. I was exhausted. It was quite intense, but I feel like we've gotten such a wonderful, human to human, not necessarily teacher to student, where I tell the student what to do, and if they don't follow the rules, if they're not obedient, then you know, um, things happen. So this was just human to human, and I did my best, and it really really paid off. So a clean slate for every interaction, and I can highly recommend it. That is it. That's what I have for you today. Tell me how this goes. Please, please give it a try. If you want to try this, send me a message and let me know how this went in your class. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.